Hello and welcome to Learn It from a Layman. I'm Carl Christensen, joined today by Tim the Cavity Cox.
Ooh.
And that's what they call you, right, Tim?
Yes, absolutely. Based on the fact that I'm so concave.
Okay. All
right. I don't know. Got to work on that. But yeah, I'm keeping that one.
Okay. And we're joined again for I don't know, Peter, have you been on two times before, or three? Three, maybe. Yeah. Peter Vogel, now Dr. Vogel, back on the podcast with us. Peter, in the past, you've done physics podcasts, but in light of your new profession and your recently acquired dental degree, we're going to discuss teeth today. So thanks for coming back on the podcast.
Excited to be back on the podcast. It's going to be very different from the previous ones, but
very little discussion of quarks today. I mean, maybe some, but
maybe there should be a discussion of quarks and how it fit into teeth. I don't know. No one's looked into that.
That's right. That's breaking new ground. I'm learning from a layman. Okay, let's talk a little. Let's talk some teeth. Oh, this is also fitting, Peter, because our mutual cousin Ian Christensen was on the podcast for our last episode, and he referred to himself as an eye dentist. So he is an ophthalmologist, and he said that they are often termed eye dentists. So probably
he has that title. Ophthalmologist.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're an eye. You're a tooth eye doctor. I don't know. Okay. Well,
yes. Expound upon why he's an eye dentist.
I think it's just the idea that, like, most doctors treat a bunch of different parts of the body, and dentists focus on the mouth, and as an ophthalmologist, he only focuses on the eyes. I think that was kind of his point.
You're being way too nice to him. They often get called an eye dentist because they don't work very hard. They don't work very long.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that was
more money than they should.
There was certainly nothing about medical snobbery in our discussion. Nothing at all.
There was a little bit of a snobbery discussion. Yeah. Okay. Let's hit some teeth questions here. All right. Let's start with what is enamel?
So enamel is
Carl,
a part of your
Carl,
tooth.
it's pronounced animal. You're too much time around little kids.
Oh my!
You should probably just cut that from the final.
Okay, Tim. I'll cut you from the podcast.
That's right.
Okay, back to enamel, Peter.
Enamel is part of your tooth that forms on the outside. So there's three different layers, depending on how you look at it. There's the pulp, which is the center of the tooth that has the nerve, the blood supply, and stem cells. And then there's the dentin, which is the part just outside the pulp, and that's a weaker portion of the tooth. But that part is vital. So your dentin there's primary, secondary, and tertiary. I don't know that we want to get into that, but the dentin can grow and shrink, and it's something that is alive. And then the enamel is the very furthest outside portion of your tooth. It develops when your teeth are formed, and it's a mineral called hydroxyapatite that isn't vital. You can't, your body can't repair it, but it's super hard and designed to be in the oral environment, which is full of acids and other things that are damaging to your teeth. So the enamel is kind of the armor of your teeth, some could call it.
And it develops, so it only develops around the tooth originally, so your body can't repair it, right?
Yeah. Well, to some degree. Enamel, I guess we can get into that, but there are acids in your mouth, and you can remineralize the enamel, but once it's damaged, or they call it cavitated, where there's actual enamel missing, your body can't replace it.
Okay. Okay, so I guess as on the line of armor for the teeth, I feel like it used to be pretty common and maybe it still is, and maybe I just don't go to the dentist enough, that like fluoride treatments were like a thing, a frequent thing, and maybe it's only a child thing. But what is fluoride, and is it helpful or harmful? Is there more or less interest in it in the dentistry these days?
Yeah, fluoride it's still something that everyone should have. It's almost, honestly, it's probably more important for adults. So maybe this is a matter of you should go to the dentist more, Carl. But
Okay.
So contrary to popular belief, there's a lot of people that think that fluoride is a poison. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that if you talk to them, fluoride is a poison that they put in the water and the government
Right.
uses it for mind control or whatever. There's all sorts of weird rumors about it, but
That's right.
it's actually it's a natural mineral that's found in all water. Like if you go get a drink from a mountain stream that came out of a glacier, there's fluoride in that water. But it's something that's leached out of rocks. It's even in the air. But
so the
fluoride,
mountains themselves are trying to control our thoughts. I see.
Conspiracy runs deep.
Yeah.
It runs deep.
The world's out to get us.
It's
Okay.
the idea behind fluoride is that it prevents tooth decay by buffering acids in your mouth. So cavities are formed by acids that destroy the enamel, and then once the enamel's gone, the dentin. And for all of you who may not be very chemistry savvy, buffering is where you take the acid and make it more similar to water, essentially. So you take an acid that's damaging and you make it less potent. So fluoride is an ion that can attach to hydrogen ions that are acidic, and then you make it they bond together, and it takes it from being foods and acids in your mouth from being very acidic to not being acidic. So the fluoride in your mouth prevents the acids from damaging your teeth. It also, the benefit to fluoride, because there's lots of things out there that can buffer acids, but fluoride is something that can actually bond to the hydroxyapatite. So enamel is hydroxyapatite, but fluoride can make it into fluorohydroxyapatite. And this stores the fluoride ions in the enamel until there's an acidic attack. So something like eating food that's acidic, or drinking a soda, or even just like sugars in your mouth there's bacteria that break them down and essentially poop out acid. And so that the fluoride stops the bacteria poop.
That's a wonderful visual. I love it.
Okay,
but, so
another interesting thing with fluoride, though, the CDC named, so they also put fluoride into your water. So the government conspiracy thing, there's a reason that people don't like it, and it's because the government actually will put it in your water. It's called community water fluoridation.
and they do that not to control your mind, but to protect your teeth.
Yeah, so when they started doing it in the 20th century, so 1900s, and it was pretty much an instant 25% decrease in tooth decay when they started fluoridating water in all the communities that had it.
Wow.
So the CDC recently named it as one of 10 great public health achievements of the 20th century. And then
awesome.
it's still controversial. Here in Utah, there's enough people that are on the spectrum of its government mind control that there's only a couple cities in the whole state that actually have sufficient community water fluoridation. But
now,
well,
do you know what, Tim?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, if big government wants me to have healthy teeth, then I want unhealthy teeth.
Yeah, what are a few cavities for the greater good? Okay. In reality, though, do you know, does like your Brita filter or some of these water filtrations, do they pull fluoride out as well?
Yes. So depends on the filter. You can look on your specific filter, but there are people that will. It's from what I understand, it's pretty hard to get the fluoride ions fully out. So there are special filters that people will buy to get the fluoride out of their water, which ironically makes their fluoride their water less natural. But That being said,
The irony.
If you drink bottled water, for example, you're actually more prone to getting tooth decay because you are not getting the fluoride that should be in there, because they often will filter the fluoride out. So people who drink bottled water are at an increased risk. People who are out on like a farm, for example, are at an increased risk sometimes, depending on where they grew up, because there's some places that naturally have high fluoride. But
Interesting.
if you're drinking well water.
Now, is there like a supply of fluoride? You could, what is, so if I'm in a situation where I don't have fluoride in my water, should I be applying fluoride nightly? Should I be, is there something I should be doing to kind of compensate for it?
There are a couple things. So one suggestion for children especially is when children are developing, fluoride will actually grow into the enamel. So when you put fluoride on your teeth, it bonds to the outer layer of your enamel. Whereas when children are developing, the fluoride can actually go and develop with their enamel at the same time. So kids are often prescribed some sort of fluoride drops or supplemental fluoride that can help essentially make their enamel stronger for the future. So it's all the way through instead of just the outer layer of the enamel. For adults, you can do the same thing. There's supplemental fluoride drops. You can use toothpaste, obviously, but
Right.
I think the
Okay.
fluoride drops are more helpful. Systemic fluoride is more helpful for children because it's actually being absorbed by the enamel.
Interesting. Okay. And that might actually lead me to my next question. So in my anecdotal experience, some people seem like Tim the Cavity Cox are more prone to tooth decay. And I'd imagine obviously some of that's diet. Is that all of what it is? Are some people more or less prone to getting cavities in their teeth?
Yeah, actually, one more thing before I mislead people on the
Okay.
fluoride for children. There is one more thing with fluoride where it can damage their teeth if they have too much. So don't go having your kid drink a whole bunch of toothpaste or whatever. So
Okay.
It's a very delicate balance, especially for children, because fluoride can poison children if they have too much.
Okay. Okay. So be
And
careful.
it can
with
also
the
cause something called fluorosis. There's people that are out there who have their teeth and it has like a weird, like spotted pattern on all their teeth. And that's sometimes caused by too much fluoride when their teeth are developing. But that being said, back to
Okay.
some people more prone to cavities, yes. And I think when I was thinking about this, I was thinking maybe there's 3 things I can think of off the top of my head. I can think of nature, nurture, and then just straight up fluoridated water. So the nature one is some people just have thinner enamel. Some people don't even develop enamel. Some people's enamel is just weaker. So enamel forms in these very characteristic rods. So they make these little columns of enamel that are super strong. But some people, if they, for example, have a fever while their enamel is developing, you'll get these lines in the enamel that are where the enamel wasn't able to form in its appropriate form because of the fever. Sometimes the weaker enamel is just that their body didn't develop it correctly. And then some people have less potent saliva. Saliva remineralizes the enamel or can slightly repair the outer portion of it. And some people just have less saliva in general. So if you have dry mouth, you're more prone to getting dental decay. That's a common nature thing. Also, when you get older, you stop developing as much saliva, which can make it so you get a lot more tooth decay as well.
That's something we discussed with the eye dentist Ian last 2 weeks ago. It's that as old people seem to dry up as they get older.
I've been shopping for a new insult, and now I've got one. Less potent saliva. That's a really good way to just give someone a zinger. Yeah,
is it, Tim?
Is it?
Is it? So yeah, that's going to work for you there in middle school.
Yeah, I'll bet it would actually.
The other aspect there was the nurture one, where sometimes people have poor oral habits, such as eating a lot of acids and sugars. So things like juice, lemon juice, soda, fruits, even like oranges, apples. And then things that are sticky get all over your teeth. Eating frequently actually is a poor oral habit. So eating meals that are separated out is better because your teeth can repair themselves in the meantime until you put more acid on them again. And then some people don't brush well, some people don't, well, I would say some people don't floss, but most people don't floss. So there's another one.
Yeah,
And then
that's the joke,
fluoridated
right?
water.
You dentists get lied to daily. I mean, why do you even ask the question, do you floss? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I usually tell people when I ask them, do you floss? And they give me whatever answer it is. And I say, there's two kinds of people out there, the people who floss and the people who lie to you and say they floss. But then there's
Right.
maybe a third of the hygienists out there. But
Right. Yeah. People that work in the field. No, I actually, and you're not even my dentist, Peter. I have developed a good flossing habit. I'm a good dancer. I floss frequently. So it depends on the music. No, okay. Your so your dad was my dentist growing up, Peter. And I have this memory, and so there may have been a lot of false things in my memory about this, but I feel like your dad told me once that drinking, you said like juice, like acidic juice, and then immediately brushing your teeth was really bad for your enamel. Like I said, this could be entirely my memory, but is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. So that's when you eat food or drink, honestly, if you eat anything, basically, they're called fermentable carbohydrates, which is basically anything but meat. So, and even meats sometimes have it if they're marinated or something to that order. But basically, anytime you eat anything, your mouth becomes more acidic, and the enamel is while it is supposed to be hardy, it's very delicate once it's in an acidic environment. So when you eat or drink anything that's acidic or sugary or has any sort of carbohydrate in it, your oral pH drops, and then the enamel is weak enough that it can be damaged a lot more easily. So if you brush your teeth straight after drinking an acidic beverage or throwing up, or even just like eating something sugary or bread or basically anything but meat, the enamel is weak enough that there's microabrasives in toothpaste that are designed to help whiten your teeth and not take away the enamel. But if you've just eaten, those abrasives actually rub the enamel away.
Wow.
So yeah, the recommendation is that you wait at least 30 minutes after eating or drinking anything but water, basically.
Okay.
Because your saliva will remineralize the enamel enough that it's strong enough to brush.
Interesting. Okay, so a lot of people, I mean, generally we're supposed to brush our teeth twice a day, or at least that's what I think I've heard. Let's say I eat breakfast and then I've got to run off to work, and it's only been 5 minutes. I shouldn't run upstairs and brush my teeth really quick. I should probably take the toothbrush with me to the office. Is that kind of the advice?
Social advice or tooth advice?
Yes. I guess from you, let's stick with the medical advice.
As far as your teeth go, yeah, you should. There's two options there. You can either brush before you eat, which is also a great diet option because it makes you not want to eat. So there you go. I'm gonna patent that at some point, write a book. But if you brush before you eat, then you are putting those fluoride ions directly on your teeth before you put acid in your mouth, so you have more fluoride to buffer the food you're about to put in there, the acids. And then you can also wait for half an hour, bring your toothbrush with you to work, or put it in your car or something. And
Okay.
Could I just,
but you should wait probably half an hour.
What if I, like, after eating or drinking orange juice or whatever, what if I just like swish some mouthwash with fluoride? Would that help or speed up the process?
You could do that. Mouthwash is, I don't know. This might be a controversial opinion, but I actually don't love mouthwash because a lot of mouthwashes dry your mouth out. So the fluoride helps, but a lot of them cause your mouth to dry. A lot of them have alcohols in them, and the alcohols will dry your mouth out. But
Interesting.
Okay.
but there are ones that don't, and there are ones that will stimulate more saliva and have fluoride. So that could be an option too if you wanted to switch with that to like directly after eating, because that doesn't have anything abrasive in it.
Okay. Okay. I got a few more questions about brushing. Eventually, here in a little bit, we're going to talk about how overall oral hygiene affects health. And then I have it says teaser. I had a question I read years ago about a drug that was supposed to regenerate our cavities, and I'd like some more information on that. But let's get that later. I want to tease that because maybe other people read that and have been wondering for years, why can't my teeth regenerate? But before we do that,
the way you said that, a drug that regenerates cavities, that's
okay,
that's already out there. Don't you worry.
That's called Skittles, Starburst.
Works very well.
Yeah. They actually called me for an endorsement from Tim the Cavity Cox. Regenerate cavity.
Tim, you really should work on like patenting that. Imagine all the endorsement deals you could get. I mean,
oh yeah,
you'd get money from both sides. The dentists clearly want you to have cavities. I mean, what are they there for? And
that's right.
And then all the sugar.
Win-win.
Yeah. Okay. So Peter, brushing your teeth. Is twice a day the correct number of times? Is there a correct number of times? And how should I be brushing my teeth?
That's a hard question. I think twice a day is what's suggested. I don't know that there is science behind twice a day.
Okay.
Just like there isn't this is probably something that shouldn't be shared, but there's also no science behind every 6 months for cleanings.
Interesting.
That was a marketing ploy way back when that just stuck with people, and they heard I should go in every 6 months, and that's true.
Huh?
Or that's what people do. But there are people that should come in more than every 6 months, and there's people who could come in less than every 6 months. But I think that it's worked out for dentists, and that it's a nice average, and most people are somewhat okay on every 6 months. So
sure. Okay.
But brushing your teeth twice a day is a good, probably average for people out there. And then you should, I like to tell my patients that an electric toothbrush is a very good investment, because while they do cost about $100, which is painful, they're a lot, like one cavity, it costs you more than your toothbrush did. So if you can prevent even one, it's a lot cheaper to get an electric one. The electric ones they oscillate at thousands of times per minute rather than like 20 or 30. Like just a lot more effective.
As far as electric toothbrushes go, I mean, you said there are ones that are $100 or whatever else. There are cheap ones. Are they functionally different? Are the bristles not good? I mean, I guess the other question about toothbrushes for me is I've heard, I mean, you got soft bristles, you got, wire. Okay, probably not a lot of wire bristles out there.
You could get a wire brush. It wouldn't be good. No, those are great questions. I think the more expensive toothbrushes are usually worth it. And I guess there's a caveat of usually, because sometimes they put things in like Bluetooth connectivity that'll connect how you've brushed to your phone and no one ever checks it. I mean, those are not super helpful, but Sonicare is my preference. Oral-B is just as good, probably. they both make really nice electric toothbrushes, but the Oral-B ones, the way that they work is oscillating round head, and it's super loud. It's like a jackhammer that they can hear from rooms away, and the Sonicare
Makes
is
you
quiet.
feel like you're really accomplishing something, Peter. I mean, must be going to work here if it's going to make that much noise.
Yeah, the first time I have both. The first time I used the Oral-B one, I was like, I'm going to wake up the whole house just turning this thing on. The Sonicare ones are a lot quieter, but they just vibrate instead. And I think that those are the best ones. There's a lot of brands out there that make like pretty electric toothbrushes, and people buy them a lot because they look nice and they're aesthetically pleasing. But I think just go get a Sonicare. But as far as stiffness of the bristles too, you want the softest bristles you can find. So some people will go out and get things like they'll get like medium or firm bristles, and the harder they are, they can actually damage your gums and damage your teeth. So the bristles will brush your gums away and cause gum recession, and sometimes they'll even damage once the gums have receded, now you have dentin exposed rather than enamel, because enamel is only above the gums, and they can just brush right down into the dentin and rub it all away.
Wow.
So get the softest bristles you can. They work just
so no wire bristles for me.
Well.
I'll toss my toothbrush away really quick.
There are a lot of people who buy the firm ones, and there's a lot of companies that sell the firm ones, and they only sell them because people buy them. But
okay. Now how about, so I guess based on what you're saying there, so the pressure that you apply when brushing, once again, this may have been something your dad told me, it sounds familiar, is that you just don't need to brush that hard. Like, it's not like you need to dig in there and go at it. It's really just the bristles just need to rub against the surface. They don't need 30 pounds per square inch of force or whatever.
Yeah, you don't have to brush very hard. One nice thing as well about electric toothbrushes is they have a pressure sensor built in on the nicer ones, where if you are brushing too hard, they'll actually stop brushing. So as you're pushing, if you push too hard, they'll like make a little buzz and stop brushing, and they'll just buzz against your teeth instead of brushing, which is a nice feature because you can brush too hard and damage your gums, damage your teeth. If you have a manual toothbrush, I've heard the recommendation where you put your pinky up and you hold it between your fingertips and stick your pinky up like you're a fancy person, and then it's hard to put more force than you should. But yeah. And then another one on that same note is the hard bristles is charcoal was a big fad. I don't know if that's still a fad, but charcoal toothpaste, charcoal infused bristles. Charcoal is like super abrasive, and it does whiten your teeth, but it whitens your teeth because it takes off the outer layer of your teeth. So
that's not good.
Yeah, it's super damaging. There's probably a bunch of lawsuits waiting to happen on that, but
oh my, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, luckily I don't
charcoal stuff.
Okay, good. All right, I think that was all of my toothbrush. Oh, well, you mentioned toothpaste, like that there are toothpastes out there that whiten your teeth. Are there toothpastes that are better than others? And what's your toothpaste recommendation?
There's a whole bunch of different kinds. There's so the standard one that most people have been using for decades is sodium fluoride toothpaste. Sodium fluoride is awesome. The newer ones are stannous fluoride. Stannous fluoride is a tin ion that's included. Not a Tim ion. Sorry, Tim. It's a tin with an N.
I was hoping to have a new endorsement opportunity there, but oh well.
The stannous fluoride ones are great for gum health, and they used to cause staining, but a lot of the companies have figured out how to not make that happen anymore. So that's kind of the newest best thing is probably stannous fluoride toothpaste. I think is it Crest Complete, Colgate Complete? One of those is, let me look it up right now.
Okay.
If you look on the active ingredients, it'll tell you stannous fluoride or sodium fluoride, and stannous is probably the better of the two. And the benefit to stannous is it's also a desensitizing agent. So if you have sensitive teeth, it'll help. So Colgate Total is stannous fluoride, and then Crest Gum Detoxify or Crest Pro Health or Sensitive.
Okay. Now, one other thing that I believe your dad told me once. We were talking about, if people don't have toothpaste, sometimes they just don't brush. I believe your dad told me that if there's, of course, if you have toothpaste, use it, and it can be helpful, and there are better and worse toothpastes, but that the actual brushing motion and the actual bristles on your teeth is a bigger benefit than any of the toothpastes are. Is that, once again, I put the caveat on here that all of this could be faded with my memory and lack of common sense. So
yeah, the bristles are mechanically removing plaque, and the toothpaste is like a lubricant for the bristles, essentially. And it also has the fluoride in it. So the fluoride is helpful, but the actual removal of plaque and cavity-causing bacteria is mostly done by disrupting it with the bristles. But there's two other types of toothpaste out there that I can think of that are good. There's a Prevident. It's a prescription fluoride. It's about 4 to 5 times stronger than what you can buy, but it works really well. It's also a really good investment in that it's like $10, $15 a tube, but it's a ton stronger than what you can buy normally over the counter. And it's prescription because, like we talked about earlier, having too much fluoride for kids is dangerous. And if they eat like a fourth of the tube, it can be toxic.
Wow. Okay.
So you have to keep that kind out of reach and make sure that people are aware of that. But and then the other one is a newer one. It's been used in Japan for a long time, but it's hydroxyapatite toothpaste. And it's more for people who are anti-fluoride. So for people out there who don't
we had a lot
fluoride,
of listeners on that train, Peter.
Hydroxyapatite toothpaste is, if you remember from the start of this, enamel is hydroxyapatite. So you're essentially brushing with enamel particles, and the idea behind it is that you can remineralize the enamel by putting little, I guess, they're not ions, but putting enamel in there that will help remineralize. But I think that it's not as good as fluoride, in my opinion, because fluoride also has a buffering effect, not just repair of enamel. But it works well as well. If you're not going to do fluoride, that's the next best thing.
Okay, cool. All right, well, last brushing related question, I think. Okay, dang, I thought of another one. So 2 more. One, despite popular opinion, my wife and I do floss nightly. We've had this discussion a few times, like, do you floss and then brush, or brush and then floss? And it would seem that flossing first would be the way to go. Are we right?
I think that it's another debate, but in my opinion, flossing first is better because then you get the plaque out from between the teeth and the food out from between the teeth.
Okay, good. That's what we're thinking.
And then you put the fluoride on because then the fluoride can reach the spots that would have been covered by food and plaque before. So I think flossing first is better, but it's up for debate out there still.
Okay.
Because there's some people that say if you put the fluoride in your mouth and then floss the fluoride in the gaps, then maybe. But so maybe the answer is floss, then brush, then floss again. So if you're not flossing enough.
Okay, well, that's not going to happen. So let's just stick with before then. Okay, then the other last question is, you mentioned something about rinsing your teeth after brushing. So if I'm using a specialized toothpaste, I don't rinse after, or what is this deal with not rinsing my teeth after I brush?
So this is confusing because if you look at the backs of a lot of toothpaste tubes, they say brush then rinse, but you're causing problems by rinsing because you took away the fluoride you just put on your teeth. So the idea is to keep the fluoride in contact with your teeth as long as possible. And when you rinse right after brushing, you're rinsing out all the excess fluoride from your mouth. So it's not generally recommended to rinse right after. And with the Prevident, which is the prescription fluoride, it'll say on the back, don't rinse, drink, or eat for at least half an hour.
Another one of those weight loss tips that we've got from our dentist.
Yeah, and if you brush every half an hour, that brings up another point. Then you'll lose a lot of weight.
Right, because you spend all day brushing and flossing your teeth.
And
don't have time to eat
for half an hour after.
Okay. All right, let's move on to some diet related things. So you said you talked about nature, nurture, and then what was the other thing? Anyway, whatever. Right now,
fluoridated water.
That's it. Okay, the mind control drug. That's right.
Yep.
All right. So this is now we're talking about nurture. This is the diet that you are choosing to consume. We know that that dentists are generally on the anti-sugar train. Is there a way to eat sugar and or drink soda in a way that is less harmful for your teeth?
Yeah. So don't tell anyone, but I also eat sugar and drink soda. But keep that on the down low.
Okay.
This isn't public, is it?
Nobody listens to this anyway.
Okay, good. But sugar and acidic foods, essentially, there's something called a Stefan curve, which is the mineralization of your enamel. So your enamel is strongest when it's fully mineralized, when all of the enamel is at its top strength. And every time you eat, that strength drops off pretty much immediately down below 5.5 on the pH scale, at which point your enamel is very fragile. So whenever you eat or drink, your enamel drops, or your oral environment drops below that 5.5 pH, and now your enamel's weakened. So while it's in that weakened state, that's when bacteria and acids can damage the enamel and create cavities, essentially. So the longer that it stays below that pH, the more prone your teeth are to getting tooth decay. So if you're going to eat sugar or drink soda, it's best to do it in one sitting. So drink your soda and be done with it. Don't get your big gulp and sip on it all day, because then you keep your mouth in a very low pH acidic environment, and then your enamel isn't able to do what it's supposed to.
Okay. If I can ask, is there anything that you can ingest to change the pH immediately afterward, like an anti-soda, anti-sugar thing?
Maybe baking soda. You could.
So if I gargle a solution of Sprite and baking soda,
is it
I
worth
think you have
it
to drink
that?
both of them first. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we've got a marketing opportunity here, guys.
Okay, so a little sip of Coke, and then
not real advice. Don't put baking soda in your mouth.
Okay, good.
no, but
yes.
like, I was just wondering if there are any foods
like
that naturally reset it.
Rinse or something.
Sorry, say again.
Pretty much every food out there, pretty much all foods are acidic. There are a couple, I don't know off the top of my head, that are basic on the other end of the pH scale, but
yeah, we don't mean layman basic there. We mean chemistry basic.
Yeah.
So what we learned from this is that some foods are really bad for your teeth, but essentially all food is bad for you.
Yeah, well, back to our diet plan.
We do not encourage anorexia here. But
pretty much there's pretty much no food that is basic. So pretty much your saliva is the thing that will bring your pH back up, and that's about it.
If I shoot the soda straight down my gullet and it never touches my teeth, we're good, right?
There is something to be said for that, where if you drink through a straw and keep it away from your teeth, there's a little bit less, but your whole mouth is still one
The same
cavity
environment.
as soon as, yes.
Right. All right.
So
some
if
people
I
do have
blend my
habits where
food
they'll
up
swish
into
with
that
soda.
straight down the gullet technique, I could conceivably never have to brush again.
You know, you could bypass the whole gullet portion and just do an IV.
There
No
we
more
go.
tooth decay.
You're solving problems. I'm learning from a layman. Everyone just ingest all of the nutrients intravenously, and we're good. Okay. And so the real advice here, Peter, then essentially saying, if you're going to have your sugar and you're going to have your soda, do it in one sitting, do it, and take 10 minutes and have your snack and be done, right?
Yeah, eat your whole candy bar, eat the whole bag of Skittles, and then
Yeah, right.
don't keep eating them.
Okay.
And that's
Good.
the thing. When you get the large bag and people are like, hey, you shouldn't eat so many Skittles, you tell them, no, I have to eat the whole bag in one
I have to
sitting
eat
right
them
The
now.
whole
now.
bag.
My dentist said so.
Okay.
Okay. Sarcasm
going to-
disclaimer, do not actually do that.
Well, we fluoridated water. I think there's something to be said that you could fluoridate your Skittles too.
All right. Fluoridated
Ooh,
Skittles.
probably had some
I
nice
don't-
ping to it.
Okay. That's I don't think they're going to go that route, is my guess.
I
But,
hope no one goes those routes.
Until Tim the Cavity Cox reaches out.
that's right, Tim. This is your opportunity. Make it happen.
Yeah, everyone go to your local Circle K. It's coming soon.
Okay. Now, real question. So, what about calcium supplements and or drinking milk? Does that help your teeth be stronger, enamel strengthen at all?
Maybe. The milk is once again acidic, so double-edged sword there.
Darn it.
But
Okay.
and it's also sugary, so
Yeah.
the double whammy there, which brings up the point of diet sodas as well. Diet sodas are less, there's no sugar, but they're way more acidic. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer on that one is. But as far as calcium goes, I don't know. I know that calcium can bind to fluoride ions. So like one of the recommendations if your kid eats a tube of toothpaste, for example, is to have them either eat a bunch of activated charcoal, which most people don't have sitting around, or drink a bunch of milk or calcium supplements, because the calcium and the fluoride ions will bind and it'll keep the fluoride from getting into their system. I think calcium may be more important while your teeth are developing.
Okay.
But I think calcium is more for your bones. But I could be wrong on that.
Okay.
Trust
Okay.
Dr. Google on that one.
Got it.
Dr. Google said that if I drink carbonated milk, then my teeth will.
Carbonated milk. Another opportunity for a layman to create a product that nobody wants.
Well, hey,
Or diet
nobody
milk.
wanted
We haven't
milk
talked about diet
tea.
milk.
Nobody wanted milk tea until they started making milk tea, and now it's all over the place. I would suggest that milk
right.
Coca-Cola isn't too far behind.
Oh my word.
Milk Pepsi.
Those words together make me slightly nauseous.
Milk Sprite.
Okay.
I guess there is calcium and hydroxyapatite now that I think about that. So calcium would help in that sense. So it would help remineralize your teeth. But
okay, so there are
probably
potential
not in the milk
benefits from
format.
calcium. Got it. Okay, not inside your Coke, not calcium Coke or carbonated milk. That was what Matt said. That's so gross.
I like the idea of diet milk though. Diet milk, no sugar.
Diet milk Sprite.
Oh, that sounds
my God.
delicious.
Until
Fluoridated
endorsement.
diet milk.
You heard it here. Patent pending.
Yeah, we don't want that patent. Okay, a couple other questions on diet. I guess this is so specifically drugs, medications, things like that. What kind of effect do medications or drugs have on your teeth?
Not good effects, I guess. So there's a couple things. Drugs in the sense of how most people call drugs like meth or cocaine. A lot of those drugs will basically all drugs cause dry mouth, essentially. Those ones are extremely potent though, and they'll really dry up your saliva. And when your saliva is gone, your body has no way to repair your enamel. So drugs are very damaging in that sense. Meth is especially damaging where meth is extremely acidic where you introduce it into your mouth and it damages your teeth drastically, and it also just kills your salivary glands. And now you have no saliva to repair your teeth, and they're just bathed in acid. So it's like taking your teeth out, sitting them in a vat of acid, and of course they're going to disappear. But
everyone knows that druggies have really good teeth, though.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. If you go,
oh wait, no, I'm getting confused.
If you want some nightmares, go look up meth mouth for all of you out there. It's
oh boy,
pretty gross.
Okay.
There's I had a lot of patients come in who had meth mouth in dental school, and they were like, you'd have to take out all their teeth because there was nothing you could do for any of them. And taking out their teeth was like scooping them out of the gums because they were like, like a putty almost, like the consistency of clay until you got down to the very bottom, and then there was like a little bit of actual root left at the very bottom that hadn't been hit by the acid. But
if there weren't already good reasons to not take meth, that would be a
drugs, kids.
Right.
Normal drugs, like things that you would get prescribed by your doctor, they have benefits and they're helpful, but polypharmacy can cause xerostomia, which is just a fancy way of saying dry mouth, and polypharmacy is a fancy way of saying lots of medications. So as soon as you're taking a lot of medications, your saliva tends to dry up to some degree. And then once your saliva dries up, now you have acid that goes into your mouth, and your saliva isn't as able to repair your enamel. So in those sorts of situations, there's things called sialagogues, which are saliva stimulating things. There's medications for it. You can even just like chew sugar-free gum, for example, and it'll generate more saliva than you would have had otherwise. And so if you are taking a lot of medications, which sometimes you need to, you should be probably every hour doing something that generates saliva, like
Sour Patch Kids,
sugar-free gum, sugar-free Sour Patch Diet Kids.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we wouldn't want anyone to, like, if you need medication, you take your medication.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't use my teeth as an excuse to not take some meds that you need. Now, if you're a meth head, you're probably not going to be dissuaded from taking more meth by the fact that your teeth are going to turn into putty because you've already made poor choices.
Well, you're on meth, so
yeah. Please stop making those choices, though.
Okay. Do take the medications you're prescribed because there are pros and cons to everything, and there's things that are worse than getting cavities. So
right. I guess the advice then from Dr. Vogel here is if you have dry mouth, go get your, did you call it sialagogue? I swear you made up a word, but we'll stick with it.
Get sugar-free gum or something to chew every hour. Water doesn't cut it. People, when they get dry mouth, will often drink a lot of water, but the water doesn't do anything but make your mouth feel not dry.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's talk briefly here before we get to my last question about teeth, not cavity regeneration, but teeth or enamel or dentine regenerate, whatever it is, something regenerates. The other question is about just relation to overall health, and I guess let's start with gum health. So gum disease, are there different types of gum disease, and how do we avoid gum disease?
Yeah, so gum disease is a category that envelops a couple different things. The most common ones are periodontal disease and gingivitis. So gingivitis is inflammation of your gums, where you'll see kind of puffy gums around your teeth. Periodontal disease is when it gets down into the actual bone and into the sulcus, which is the little pocket that surrounds each of your teeth. And periodontal disease starts to destroy the bone around your teeth and eat away at it until, if it's left untreated, your teeth fall out, for lack of a better term. It's also extremely common. So if you go to the dentist and they tell you have periodontal disease, just know that you are in good company, because more than half of US adults have periodontal disease.
Oh.
So gum disease is super common. There isn't an actual treatment for it that you can cure it. You can just stop it where it's at. So people who have periodontal disease, it's recommended they go in every 3 months for cleanings rather than every 6 months. Back to the whole, it was just a commercial for every 6 months that made people do that. But that way your toothbrush, your floss can't actually get something called calculus off of your teeth. It's too strong for them. So you have to go in and have someone professionally take it off for you, essentially, and cure and clean the pockets where you can't clean with a toothbrush. Because periodontal disease will often make those little pockets that surround your teeth that you get popcorn kernels stuck in deep enough that you can't actually reach down there to clean. So going in every 3 months,
kind of frustrating.
Stop periodontal disease.
It's Peter, I'll just comment. It's frustrating that in high school you have to get calculus, and then you have to go to your dentist to take it off.
It's that government. It's the fluoride mind controlling government.
That's
again.
right. It's all
why Learn It from a Layman is such a valuable resource to the community and the world at large.
That's right.
By the way, Carl, you need to title this this one "Calculus," and it won't be lying, and get a lot of traffic.
Okay, I won't listen to Tim, which is the theme of the podcast. Okay. Okay, so Peter, is there periodontal disease? Is that what's called? So you said there's no way to cure it once you have it. Is there a way to, other than going into the dentist every 3 months, is there something that you can do at home, like, stop part of your diet? I mean, what helps control it? Yeah.
Yeah, so prevention's key there, because once you have it, you're stuck with it. Flossing, which no one does, which is probably why half of the US adult population has periodontal disease. But flossing makes a huge difference. And when you floss, some people think that flossing is just until you hear the little pop between your teeth. The floss should be taken all the way down under the gum line and up. And when you floss, it should be pulled against the tooth. So every time you go between two teeth, there's two different sides to that pull, where you put it down, pull it against one tooth that's further away from your midline, and pull it up through the contact, then push it back down again and push it against the tooth that's in front of where you just put the floss in. And that should be for every site. And that clears out the bacteria that can be harbored in the sulcus or pocket that surrounds your tooth. Periodontal disease sometimes is also a nature-nurture thing, where it's luck of the draw. People have a bacterial population in their mouth that's just not favorable. And gum disease is an infection. So it's something that you are trying to control. But I mean, if we talk about how it affects your overall health, then that's something to be aware of, is that you need to control gum disease because it has systemic effects.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I wanted to get into then, I guess next is just, so I've seen studies, and I didn't go to dental school. I've seen studies that talk about how overall oral health, and maybe specifically gum health, you can correlate. I don't know if it's correlated or if there's actually some causation related to, like, heart disease and just a bunch of other, other body functions that you wouldn't think are related. What's the science on that?
It's a funny thing because there's dental school and medical school, and everyone goes to different school and people treat it differently. You go to your dentist for one thing and your doctor for another, but like your mouth does affect your overall health. So brushing your teeth is great, flossing your teeth is great, but gum disease especially is one of those where it's an active infection. So a couple examples of how your oral health is a systemic issue is that if you have gum disease and diabetes, gum disease can actually make your A1C shoot through the roof. So if you have untreated periodontal disease, you may have an A1C that's 2, 3, 4 A1Cs higher than it should be. So you can drop from like a 12 or a 13 A1C, which is completely out of control, down to almost completely controlled just by taking care of your mouth. That's to be said about any infection within the body. Infections in the body cause your A1C to go way up. And if you take care of them, it will improve your A1C, but your mouth is part of your body. So a tooth abscess, periodontal disease, both of those will cause diabetes to be a lot worse.
What is it? Sorry, what is A1C? Did you explain?
No, it's okay. I didn't say what that was. A1C for diabetics, it's once you pass 7 is where you are diagnosed with diabetes. It's a lab that you get every couple months, and they tell you what your A1C is. Your A1C for a normal person should be below 7, essentially. And A1C can be affected by, like, it's how your what's that called? Your body absorbs glucose. I'm trying to remember what it is. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one.
Oh, that's okay.
But A1C is affected essentially by how you eat glucose.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that's so obviously just taking care of your mouth affects overall health in ways that you probably wouldn't necessarily predict. At least the layman certainly wouldn't. And
insulin. That was the thing I was looking for. Sorry.
Okay, there it is.
Your body stops making insulin, which causes diabetes because your body can't process the glucose that you eat anymore. I guess there's different kinds of diabetes, but that's one of them.
Right. Okay.
And then the other systemic one is heart disease. Your chances of heart disease are much higher if you have periodontal disease because the bacteria that's in your gums can get into your bloodstream.
Okay. Yeah. So let's take, if you don't care about your teeth, which you should, but if you don't, you probably care about your heart. And so there's a good reason to take care of your teeth. So,
yeah.
Okay. Last question before we wrap up here, Peter. And this is the one I teased from the beginning because I know I read a few years ago about some miracle medication that was supposedly regenerating your, I thought it was dentine, but you know what? I don't know. And that like cavities were healing themselves. Maybe this was in mice. I don't know. But it was supposedly originally developed as an Alzheimer's drug. And then they figured out, oh, actually they could do this. And then I thought they were going to do human trials, and it's gone mysteriously quiet, Peter. What are you dentists not telling us?
Well, we don't want you to have your teeth back. I mean, you have to make money somewhere.
Right.
So
do you know what I'm talking about?
It's a good question. I do know what you're talking about. There's been a lot of talk of stem cell regeneration of teeth. Is that what you're talking about?
I think that is what I'm talking about. Yes.
Because dentin, your body can rebuild dentin on its own. It's something that's not new, but because your body can rebuild dentin, like what allows your body to do that is that there are actually stem cells in the pulp, which is the center portion of your tooth we talked about. There aren't a ton of places in your body that have stem cells. So the idea was essentially that you can harvest the stem cells from the nerve or the pulp of a tooth. And there's a way to implant them into or put them into your bone essentially and grow a tooth from, like, regrow a tooth. That being said, I know that there's a lot of research. I think that they've had success in mice, and I think that it's stopped there. I think I did see an article recently that they're still working on it, but I don't think that there's been any breakthroughs in the sense that it's still not allowed for human use, essentially. But it is a really cool idea.
I like the idea. And those mice are getting good dental care, while the rest of us suffer.
I think it's still in phase 1 studies. So if you're waiting to get a dental implant or something because you want to regrow your tooth,
yeah,
your dental implant will probably last about as long as it takes for them to figure out the whole stem cell thing. So
okay, all right. So you're saying don't wait on your next dentist appointment hoping that your teeth will regenerate by the time you get back to the dentist. So
yeah, it's a cool idea though.
Yeah, I love it. And we'll get it going here and learn it from a layman soon. Stem cell tooth regeneration is our next episode, actually. So
I'm gonna have to read up a lot more on that. There aren't a lot of studies out there. I'm just looking them up right now, but I'll have to look into it.
Good. Cool. All right. Well, that's great. Matt or Tim, do you have any final questions for Peter?
Yeah, so it is going to take a long time to get the whole stem cell thing. I think that the much easier, faster, better way to handle tooth health is to invest in, diet milk Sprite, but we'll just leave that there.
Diet milk Sprite.
I endorse that statement.
Tim the Cavity Cox, you cannot endorse diet milk Sprite. You should be endorsing sugary milk Coke meth.
I'm a complicated person with vast connections, Carl.
Okay, that's right. A lot of people feeding money to Tim back channel. So if you want Tim to be the face of your product, which I don't know that there's. All right. Well, thank you, Peter. Really appreciate your insights into teeth, and congratulations on you got your dental degree earlier this year, right? Or was it last year?
Yep, in May. So it's only been a couple months.
And you're in practice now in Provo, Utah, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So if you thought Peter was a good dentist, which he is, though I actually haven't seen him. I only saw his father. But it runs in the family, good dentist. So if you're in Provo, Utah, go hit up Dr. Vogel. So thank you,
love
Peter.
To see you. That'd be great.
All right, thanks, Peter. We'll have you back again in the future, I'm sure. Thanks.